Good morning, everybody. On today's episode of Ethics in Agriculture, we will be discussing the EPA regulation of diesel emissions. Preston, who did we talk to today?
Well, we actually talked to an EPA agent, farmer, trucker, and some average citizens at Speaker Circle.
As an EPA agent, we're always trying to reduce emissions. With new things like DEF, on trucks, we're reducing carbon footprint and trying to make our environment safer. Another thing with farm equipment is it does idle a lot, and we would like to reduce the output of the emissions and make sure that we are protecting our environment.
Howdy, my name is James Fisher. I'm a fifth generation farmer here in Missouri, and we run a fairly small family farm operation with a lot of machinery like this boxcar Magnum you see here behind us. With the EPA regulating diesel emissions, whether it's the particulate filters or the DEF fluid, makes it harder for us smaller operations to deal with those increased costs on the machinery. And so that's really driven us to keep running this machinery. And with a lot of our newer machinery, we do see issues with the reliability, and especially an issue with the increase in fuel consumption. Our pocketbooks definitely feel those increased costs at the end of each season. So that's kind of from that standpoint, I wish the EPA would maybe not regulate diesel emissions on farm machinery like tractors quite as much, and that would help out your smaller farming operations.
I'm a small-time cattle farmer and rancher here in the mid-Missouri area. We drive older trucks. We actually own 4 of these older trucks. This one's got 250,000 miles on it. Sometimes in the winter when it's cold, it's not uncommon for it to start at sun up and not be shut off till long after sundown. Whether that's defrosting water tanks, feeding cattle, moving equipment, it has to run all day, lots of days on the farm. Newer trucks with the emissions and equipment on them are not practical for running all day, every day on a farm where you're not really putting highway miles on. You're just running around, doing chores, opening gates. It sits a lot, it idles a lot. Idling is very hard with modern day emissions equipment such as EGR, exhaust gas, recirculation, and DEF, and those things. With newer on idling, it just kills trucks. You'll see farmers buy a new farm truck, and within 2 years they're putting a motor in it because the new emission systems just do not hold up when you are doing low speed farm tasks on a diesel pickup. That's why we own 4 of these older trucks. This one's got 250,000. We've got 2 others got third of a million on them. Yeah, that's why we run these old things, and we don't even look at buying new trucks. I'd love to own a new truck, but that's it.
My name's Ethan Goots. I recently started a trucking company after I learned how to truck from my dad. We're having a lot of issues with newer model trucks. When they go into regen mode, if we're not running down the highway or we're idling in a lot or something like that, it does not burn all the carbon out of the exhaust, which is really hard on our engines. These engines just aren't meant to run DEF fluid. They weren't ever designed for that. And so when we put DEF in an engine or make them rerun their old emissions through the engine block again, that's really adding a lot of wear and tear to these blocks and these engines. And that's coming out of our pocketbook, and then they also do not help fuel efficiency whatsoever. And that is our main cost as a trucking company, is our fuel costs. So diesel emissions regulations really hurt our bottom line as a small business.
Those were some very insightful interviews, weren't they, Preston?
Yeah, they were. Now we're going to send it to Shane and Will.
So after the multiple different discussions that our partners had on today's topic of ethics in agriculture, seems to be we have a lot of conflicting views on this topic. Will, you got any ideas on why that might be?
Well, I think that these different views come from farmers and ranchers and truckers not quite trusting the data that's been put out there.
If the DEF fluid works, if all the regulations they're putting on to the tractors and everything is actually making that much
Yeah, I don't think that they've
difference.
seen enough data to be convinced.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're looking at it on a farmer's side of the deal, is it really helping enough for it to cost that much more to
Yeah.
work on tractors, work on equipment, be able to fix your own equipment? It's making it that much harder on farmers and truckers, construction workers, all of it. So I think that's the best thing we can come to the conclusion of. There's not a great answer for which way is the best way to go. And I think if we had a little more time on this topic, we could come to a great conclusion on what would be best. But for right now, there's not a great solution. So thank you all for tuning in on today's topic and the ethics of agriculture.
Allie, so what is your opinion on the EPA's regulation of diesel emissions?
I'm so sorry, but what is the EPA?
Bruh.